Hi, this is Pete. Since this is kind of my first video on this page, I wanted to real briefly talk about what started this journey I've been on for the last 4 years. I guess just to give some context, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail on it, but essentially, I had suffered from what I thought was depression for a lot of my life. Not all of it, but it seems certain things or events or people, and not to blame anyone. I'm not interested in doing that, but circumstances that I apparently as a kid never really learned how to deal with. And so the reasons for that are complex, and we're not going to go into that right now. But 4 years ago, my life kind of fell apart. My wife then, who's my ex now, we split up. It was a little over 4 years ago, and my life just kind of crashed, essentially. I lost, for a period, for a while, I lost my wife and kids, and and just all kinds of things happened. It was pretty ugly, but it caused me to go into this period of contemplation, trying to understand why it happened. I for the life of me, I couldn't understand. I was so confused. I didn't ever expect it to happen. I never expected her to leave. I was brokenhearted, and you're going through all of that stuff. And so I didn't handle a lot of things right. I didn't handle a lot of things right. But the conclusion I came to was I found after about a year of contemplating, and for the most part, I just blamed myself, right? I just kind of blamed myself. And I would have occasional, times where I would blame other people, because I just didn't understand. I was just so blasted confused. But after about a year, I found that book that I actually posted on this page, Peter Walker, Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving. And in reading that book, I read it 5 or 6 times over the course of about 6 months. And a lot of things started to make sense. And so from there, I was able to go back and kind of look at my childhood and essentially figure out what caused, or provided the environment, or it's not caused, it's you can't. I feel like if you want to grow, blaming somebody else is very pointless, because if you can't take responsibility for your life and for choices you've made, and if you're always blaming someone else, that's just a very, number one, this very immature energy. It's also very futile and pointless, and it just sets you up in a position where you're just not going to learn. If you are looking at everything from the perspective of I'm a victim, and I know that because I did play the victim some. just like wondering, why is this happening to me? Why does everything bad? Why all these things? And so usually those things are happening because we are not learning a lesson. And so, like I'm talking about like recurring difficulties. So you will have to keep running into situations where you have to learn those lessons until you learn them. Like you will keep going back through that cycle until you learn. That's just the way it works. So some people call that karma. Some people call it a lot of different things, but there's different terms for it. But anyway, so I found that book and recognized that one of the primary problems was what is called an inner critic. And that's where you talk negatively about yourself. It can be to other people, but it's definitely like within your own head. And you tend to be negative about yourself. Whether in victim mentality, why does this always happen to me? Or, saying bad things about yourself in your head. And so I recognize that was, I think the book actually points out that before you even get to further stages of growth and recovery, like that's the first thing you have to do is stop beating yourself up, like low self-esteem, speaking negatively about yourself, self-limiting beliefs. And then from there, work on the external critic, where you're criticizing other people, not being fair, etc. To other people. That's like the external critic, criticizing others. That took some time. Like, I am not going to lie, that took some serious time because I had some serious self-deprecating talk going on in my head. So that was the first step. And while that was happening, one of the tools that I used to break through that was gratitude. So being thankful for your work, being thankful for even difficult things that you're going through, which for a lot of people is hard to do, to be thankful for something that's tough. But what it does, it sets up to train your mind to stop thinking about life in terms of life happening to me, but life happening for me. So it starts to change the way you view the world, the way you view your own life, the way you view yourself. And it can take time. Like that can be, if you've been, like for me at that time, I was 47. I can take some time to figure out how to accomplish that and figure out how to beat that. And I still, like 4 years later, it does occasionally come up. But whereas before, I might have self-deprecating talk going on in my head every day or every couple of days, or whatever. And then, but now I might have a thought like that once every 3 months or something, but I know like how to kick it out. You know what I'm saying? So you can learn all of this to say that you can learn and you can beat it. Like if I can do it, I'm 51 now. I started 4 years ago on this journey. And I started this because I realized I was unintentionally hurting myself and hurting other people as a result. So like some people that know me or think they know me, and that's another thing. I think they know me. They might, that's where it came from. It was a hurting myself and then hurting others unintentionally as a result. Like that was my issue. That was my problem. Like 95% of it. So once I like figured that out, 90% of the problems went away. And then you can just get down to life and working through some of the other things that we all struggle with. So what I also at the beginning recall having to kind of understand, what causes that. And there can be all kinds of factors, right? Kids in school, ribbing on you, making fun of you, getting bullied. It can be your home environment in some cases. It just, it can be both. We're human, so every parent does this, okay? Like we might come across to our kids in a certain way, whether it's controlling or whether it's you're too hard on them or you're too critical, whatever it is. Like no parent's perfect, so you make mistakes and you do things you wish you had done better or you didn't do. But at the end of the day, there are steps to take to figure out how to do this better and how to grow and basically find joy. Because if you're constantly beating yourself up, you don't have any joy. You don't even know how, right? You don't know how to have joy. And I used to be there. So I understand people that are going through it. I do truly understand. And I still have to fight against it. Like habits die hard and you really got to work at it. But anyway, that's it. Love you guys. Have a good day.